Hello, hello, hello. I'm Andrea Stevens,
And I'm Jeanette Mejias, and we are Web's Women.
where exposure brings strength. Hey, it's February, and there's no music to that, and there's no song. Sorry. Hello, listeners. Hello, Jeanette. What are you up to?
Well, it's already, and just like that, it's already February. I
Just
feel
like
like
that.
the month flew by,
Mhm.
and now we're into the start of a new month. And
Yeah,
I just feel like just so many things are stirring up and happening, and
I know.
life is
I
getting
know.
interesting, so
Changes, baby, changes. You
change.
know,
Yeah.
and you know what? This January for me, emotional to say the least,
Mhm.
owning my truth across the friggin' board.
Yep.
And honestly, it's been kind of an emotional month.
Yeah.
I watched the season finale of Yellowstone and cried.
Oh, so that's over? I couldn't get into that series. I just, but I hear it's really good. I think I just didn't give it a chance.
I didn't think I'd like it. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think I'd like it at all. And then started getting into it. And then I was like, ooh, I like Beth. She's fucking crazy. Like, I like her. She's nuts. And then I was like, ooh. And then this relationship she's got going on with Rip, he's cute. I was like, okay, I can watch this. And then at the end, though, one of the cowboys left Yellowstone and I had some tears.
Okay.
And then, I'm not, and then, well, I'm just throwing out all the everything I shouldn't say, I guess. Right now.
Hopefully for you Yellowstone viewers, Andrea has not ruined it for you.
Sorry, but Rip and Beth get married, and I had a little tear when he gave the ring, his mother's ring. I cried. I had
Oh,
a tear.
okay.
Yeah, I had a little tear. My girlfriends never cried. It's just I cried. I was like, okay, so now I know I am way more emotional than I should be right now.
Mm. Yeah, well, I don't know why I did this to myself, but I started to watch Just Like That, the spinoff series
Mm,
Sex and the City. So poorly written.
really,
The,
yeah.
the cast members, like all their roles, it's just like bizarre writing.
Hmm.
It's just like it's a train wreck. And I could easily just stop watching it, but apparently I'm attracted to train wreck, shows. And, I'm just kind of like waiting for the next epic, like, I don't even mean like epic, like bomb, episode, more like epic fail moments. Like I'm waiting for like those, the next episode, you know,
Yeah.
Che has to cheat on Miranda because she's such a slut for
See,
leaving Steve. Poor Steve. Not for nothing. I'm just gonna say this. The
that
guy,
guy's been walked all over and all the.
oh
I
my
never watched. I
God,
don't watch this. I don't watch that.
I
I,
can't
I never got into Just Like That. I never even started. I didn't even think about it.
probably
But
shouldn't.
I.
He really, even like before Just Like That, he's
Yeah.
always like, this bitch
Yeah.
walks all over him, breaks his
Yes.
heart.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
just like an afterthought. And now
Yeah.
she's tired of him. And now she's into some bitch, you
Oh.
know.
See, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, she falls for, Sarah Jessica Parker is on a podcast with this woman who is I think she's fully gay. I think she's fully gay. She's a lesbian, whatever. And she's like a player. Like she hooks up with a lot of people.
Mm.
Long and short of it, Miranda's not getting it at home, hasn't gotten it in 10 years plus, and the girl gave her a little bit of, attention and a finger bang. And I love her. She rocked my world. And I'm
Maybe
just
do we have to have this X rated? I don't know.
and I was like, you bitch, who does that? Oh my God. Like,
Yeah, that poor Steve. He's been
Yeah.
stomped on the whole freaking all this time.
Yeah, her attitude's like, I'm bored. Aren't you bored? I'm bored. So if I'm bored, you're bored. No, he's not bored, bitch. He's very happy and likes to eat his ice cream on the couch with you every night. And I just was so angry. Like, I just want her to be hurt. Like, I'm just like, this chick's gotta screw her over, man. I'm like, that's just the only way I'm gonna be satisfied. So we'll see.
You
So
should
that's
really
my
watch
rant.
it. Maybe you should turn over to Yellowstone and watch that. I mean, don't get me wrong. That Beth and Rip situation, like she's a train wreck. So you might really be drawn to that.
No, I did. I mean, I was watching a couple of episodes. I don't know as to what point. I don't remember, but I was watching quite a few, and she was already, like she was already on the map. Like I already knew who she was, and I know she's crazy, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't get into it. But I heard it slow in the beginning.
Yes.
And then it picks up.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's great. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll explore. We'll see.
Give it a chance. You'll like the train wreck that goes on in the whole thing. I swear. Give it a chance.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I will.
I'm not watching. I'm not watching just like that though.
Yeah, I'm
I don't want
irritated by the whole thing. And not even so much Miranda's that whole write up, but like they kill Big in the first episode. Who does that? I mean, this girl
I did hear that.
She went through hell and back to be with this guy, right? Ooh, like we watched the whole thing,
Yeah.
They were on and off forever. They finally, at least give us a little something while they're in their stage of marriage. And it was just like,
yeah. See, I didn't want to ruin it. For myself, I love Sex in the City. I don't want to like ruin it for myself to watch that. And then I'm going to be pissed off.
I just think it was unnecessary to even do it. Like, just leave it alone. Like, just leave it the way it was. Or if you were going to do that, I just don't see, like, they have Miranda as like playing this desperate type of like Karen. Like, that's not what she was. Like, she was never like that. She was kind of badass, I felt, Miranda. And they're just, everybody is just like,
I mean, we don't really change that much from our 40s, 30s to 40s to 50s. I mean, I don't know. All my friends are like, you haven't changed a bit. And I'm like, got that right, motherfucker.
Well, I have to say, I have changed. I have changed.
Yes. No, there's some change, but not like that show. I'm just afraid to watch.
Not my character. Like my, like my, I don't know, I guess like my character and my integrity, like all that stuff and my beliefs and my values, like that didn't go away. It's
no, that's who you are.
Feel about
right.
What they did. Like, why are you being so radical in your?
I feel like your heart doesn't change, and you don't really change. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I guess if you go down the wrong path and then you find yourself again, maybe then okay, you've changed. But I don't know. I don't know.
I think we all assimilate. And don't get me wrong. You do have folks, right, that that hasn't changed. Like I have friends that people are in your life for seasons. You hear that all the time.
Right.
They're in for a season, a reason, a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And so some of the friends that never kind of like went the distance with me, meaning like they didn't attend my wedding, they weren't part of any of that life chapter for me because they were still stuck in the immaturity levels of where I was at, like in my 20s, because I was immature. I mean, that's just who wasn't, right?
Yeah. Right.
And when I started to outgrow certain things, these people didn't. And so you can't take those folks alongside with you. All you could say, wish you the best, but like, you're not going to be in my, in my current circle where I'm at in this point in time because we can't relate.
Right.
And so for me, it's not to say, if you're not into the things I'm into, I can't be your friend. I'm not saying that. I have friends of all walks of life. What I'm saying is that you know, sometimes you have to separate yourself or distance yourself from
Right.
certain types of people who are still doing the same kind of things that you outgrew, because now
Right. Right.
that's
Right.
not your jam. You ain't doing
Yeah.
that. So I can't even relate to you. I can't laugh about it. I can't, I'm just gonna look at you like, what are you doing? You're like
Yeah.
50 something years old, dude. Like, really? You're still in that space? Like, I left that like, 20
Yeah.
years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
where I'm coming from. So
Yeah. But, I think, yeah, that for sure you grow up and you outgrow things. Absolutely. But your attitude and personality, like those things don't change that much.
correct.
They just don't. I don't think, at least me, where I'm from, I didn't change. I took me from my town and where I came from and how I grew up and who I was. I took me and went all over. And I did not conform to the norm in those places. I brought me and I left with me in every place I've been
Yeah.
throughout, so I feel like I'm still the same me, except, I think sometimes depending on who you're surrounded by or who you're with or who you marry or whatever it is, sometimes you mold a little bit, right? There's like a little molding kind of that goes on there where you might a little bit, like you might take on some things from your partner, right? You might take on some of those
Yeah.
things. And, I know me, I've toned some things down. Not no
Really?
more. Not no more. I'm
Don't
not,
do
I'm not going to tone anything down anymore, but I know, right? You would have never known, right? Surprise, Jeannette.
Yeah, I have to. I mean, I'm definitely not, you know, the person I was, you know, I have
Yeah.
to say I've evolved in every milestone when I say age milestone. So like I'm not the person I was at 25. I'm not the person I was at 35, and I'm certainly not the person I was at 45. Because as you
Right.
start to age up, and yes, I'm 52, years young, but as you start to age up, you have less tolerance for things. And the things that
Yeah.
you had tolerance for, maybe when you were much younger or in those age brackets,
Yeah.
doesn't exist. You
Right.
start, and then there's folks that, you know, uh, you know, early on assimilate, and their
Hmm.
tolerance happens much quicker in
Yeah.
terms of their tolerance, their threshold reduces much faster, right?
Hmm.
For me, I I have a very, I used to have a very huge threshold for things.
Hmm.
And as life happens, or as life experience happened to me, that
Hmm.
threshold has become smaller and smaller and
Yeah.
smaller, you
Yeah.
know. And it's
I
just,
hear that a lot.
yeah, it's just the things that I used to be like, that wouldn't affect me, or like I
Hmm.
would just be like, oh, no big deal. Like I'm either triggered by it, or I'm irritated by it,
Hmm.
or I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God. But I let it go immediately. But I'm just like, yep, nope, not going there, not
Yeah.
entertaining this.
Yeah.
And I get in that space where before I wouldn't be that way. I'd be like, oh, what are you gonna do? Just
Yeah.
gotta let it go. Like I'd be more calm about it. Maybe I might listen to somebody that is in this hamster wheel for years.
Hmm.
And some people be like, oh my God, how can you like continue engaging in that? Because it's toxic. And I used to be like,
Yeah.
oh, no big deal, doesn't bother me. But
Hmm.
I find, fast forward, yes, that as I got older, yeah, it is a big deal.
I'll
Yes.
tell you, but I think too, there's a certain age you get to, right? Like, I mean, I've always been able to kind of cut off what I needed to cut off. But it used to take more time
Yeah.
for me to cut off what I needed to cut off and out and keep my boundaries. I used to kind of just, okay, well, I can hold on a minute before I create that boundary. And then I think once I turned 40, it was like that 40 threshold. That's kind of where it was like, boundary up, baby. There was no way I was not waiting. There was no question. It was done. This is done. You're done. I'm over here. I'm not over there anymore. Like the wall went up here. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it was, and it's quick. I'm quick to pull the trigger. Like if I'm going to just cut something off and put up the wall, I'm going to put it up and it's fast. And I think at 40, it got like, I used to be able to do that, but it took some time. And
Yeah.
then 40 now was like, forget it, whatever. And
Yeah.
I think that's the number. Like the more I talk to people and the more I look back at my own, writing my book and looking back on my own thoughts and things, I found that 40 was the number. After 40, I think we're all like, whatever.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, I feel like your wisdom just automatically elevates at,
Yeah.
when you hit that, age, I call it milestone markers, however you want to do it, 20, 30, 40, 50,
Yeah.
60, like you have to be evolving in every stage of your,
Yeah.
of your,
Mhm.
like your life,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're still in the same place, and that's in anything. I'm talking about across the board. If you're still in the same thought space, it from now than you were maybe just 5 years ago, that's a problem, because I think that we all, in my personal opinion, we all have to thrive each year. Like before, I used to be like 5-year plan, 10-year plan, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it's like, what am I going to accomplish for this year? What's the big thing for me? Because now I have to make it smaller chunks for me.
Yeah.
Because what happens for me, a 5-year plan, I know me, I can dilly dally, I can like, drag my
Yeah.
feet a little bit. Oh, I got 5 years,
Yeah.
no, for me, it's every year, like what's priority for me? Is it my
Mhm.
mental health? Yes, of course it is. Is it my physical health? Yes, of course it is. So how do you do that? How are you chunking that? How are you really giving yourself that time and like journaling, like really doing the self work? And I feel like that to me is how you grow personally
Mhm.
and also on a professional level,
Yeah.
and I used
Yeah.
to be a person like the yes person. And now like again, that threshold, it's like I can't. Like
Yeah.
I just have to say, let me just marinate on that for a minute and I'll get back to you. Like it's not an easy yes for me anymore. Um,
Yeah.
because I know the cost of that. Because if it costs you, it's at the
Mhm.
expense of yourself or your family members or whatever it's going to take away from you. Is it really worth that?
Right.
Got to be worth my while to, especially in my case, my mother has become my child.
Yeah.
So, my children, my 14 and 18-year-old, they're self-sufficient. Now I've got my mother, an aging parent who's sick
Mhm.
and progressively getting sicker. She's
Mhm.
really the one that I have to make accommodations.
Mhm.
And now I used to be a fly by night. I could be spontaneous and I cannot be spontaneous
Right.
anymore. Not at this time. And that's okay, because as much as great it is to be spontaneous, say, hey, come on, Andrea, I'm picking you up. We're gonna just go take a drive and
Yeah.
see where it takes us, and then we'll be back, by dinner. I'll pick you up in the morning or whatever. We'll be back by dinner to be with our families. I mean, I think that's cool, but at the end of the day, um, I also feel pausing. I think that I've been on a personal, like, I do a lot of reflecting. I know you do too.
Mhm.
And I look at everything, from really like, I don't really focus on what happened in my 20s. I mean, that's like 20s or
Mhm.
20s. But I look at the 30 and above and I look at the speed I was at.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, now I'm at a very slow speed in things. And I'm like, well, that's okay. And I need to be okay with that. And I think for me, this year has been about self-discovery and
Mhm.
not being so hard on myself and not not being so like I have to be so busy, I have to be doing so many things, or I'm not, moving along. And that's just
Mhm.
such a false narrative.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is. And I think that pausing and really doing what's nourishing for yourself,
Hmm.
that's the prize. That's the golden ticket in my opinion. So I
Yeah.
love that we're into a new month because I find that each month brings in something new, at least for me.
Hmm.
And January was a month of renewal for me and discovery. I mean, I'm still discovering, but again, this month I'm embracing different things
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
can really like elevate and really just feed my spirit. And I think that's really where I'm at for this month. So
Yeah. I'm in the acceptance mode.
yeah,
And I got to give myself a little grace because when I make decisions, I got to move on it and move now. And it has to happen now. I made the decision. Here we go.
mm,
And that's how I function. I function with if I make a decision, rock and roll.
yeah,
And so for me, I am in acceptance was in the beginning of the first week of the month, and now I have to give myself grace to let the process flow.
yeah,
But I have a hard time with that because I have to try a little harder to give myself grace and not you know
yeah.
not
But
stress myself out.
you're aware, which I think is great. You know,
Hmm.
you recognize. I think when you're aware of where you're at,
Hmm.
that's already. I mean, you're already on that on that path of growth.
Yeah.
You're already in that. You're already doing that work. It's when you're not aware and you're in this fight and flight, or you're in this constant hamster wheel,
Hmm.
and you know it, but you just are not doing anything to get off of that or
Yeah.
whatever. That's when it's like, what the hell is going on? What are you hiding from? What are you burying your head in the sand for? What do you don't
Hmm.
want to look at? What are you avoiding?
It's
What
funny you should say that because the fight or flight is one of the chapters in my book and it talks about the freeze. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, the freeze that nobody talks about. So, yeah, it's
yeah,
funny you said that.
and yeah, and I think I think like I think with you, I see like I see so much like where you're evolving and when you say you're owning your truth, I see that, it's
Yeah.
not just talk. It's
Oh, no.
really, you're really moving, in all aspects,
Yeah. A lot of
So,
changes,
like,
a lot of things, a lot of ways.
and you're assimilating and I think you're handling yourself really well. I mean, I think if I had
Wait, wait, thank you.
I had so many things like that thrown at me, I'd be like, oh, you know what? Fuck this. Yes, I said fuck, now
Yes.
and then I throw an F bomb, But
Oh,
yeah, man. I mean, listen, we're all just trying to move ahead, right?
yeah.
Especially because I find again, current times that we're in, I think
Hmm.
it's been forcing us to really take a hard look at things and and
And to
take
find ourselves, everybody wants to find themselves, right? And figure themselves out. I mean, we should, everybody should want that, right? And it takes some time and it takes when I say own your truth, it is
yeah,
just to own your truth. There's no reason to there's no reason to lie to yourself.
right,
I
right.
mean, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
hey, I don't know. Hey, let's see what February brings.
Oh, it's a short month, as
Yeah.
it's only 28 days in February, right? Am I right in that? Can you imagine?
Yes, yes, you are right.
Okay. See, this is because we're not scripted, right? We don't prepare.
Right.
So I'm just talking off the fly
Yeah.
here. So we've got 20
Free flow.
days.
Yeah.
Love month. For those who are into the zodiac signs, it's the month of the Aquarians.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Aquarian. Mouse Aquarian people. Although Aquarians start in like late January too. Uh, so
Hmm.
um, very, water people, good people. I'm gonna say all zodiac signs are fabulous, right? Gotta
Yeah.
yeah. But Aquarian people really have a huge heart. My mom's an Aquarius, but she's a water. Me and her don't mix because I'm fire. She's water.
Yeah.
Earth and Earth, wind, and fire. Earth, wind, and fire, baby. So
Oh,
love month, right? So
I was trying to think of a song to sing and I just couldn't off the top of my head. COVID brain, man. I'm not quick anymore.
girl.
What's happened to me?
Well, I'm looking forward to whatever February has for us and for all our listeners out there.
Mhm.
It's, it's always a time, Andrea, when we're on the mic together. That's all I'll say to that.
It is. It is.
And yes, and so
Oh,
to our listeners, we hope that our conversation resonated with you, or you can identify with some of the things that we talked about. And we're excited to bring more content to you as we move forward. And thanks for tuning in. Remember, everyone, you're listening to Webb's Women,
where exposure brings strength.